Everyone was watching when my fox girlfriend got stuck. I tried not to laugh. The festival begins. The Spring Festival transformed Riverside Park into a kaleidoscope of color and sound. Paper lanterns swayed between ancient oak trees, their warm glow competing with the afternoon sun. The air carried the mingled scents of grilled food, sweet pastries, and spring flowers blooming along every pathway. Kian Ashford adjusted his glasses as Rena Feywind practically vibrated with excitement beside him, her amber fur catching the sunlight like burnished copper. Her emerald eyes darted from one attraction to another, overwhelmed by possibilities. The fluffy ears atop her head swiveled independently, tracking conversations, music, and the laughter of children playing nearby. "Kian, look at that!" Rena pointed toward a game booth festooned with ribbons, her impossibly thick tail swishing behind her with such enthusiasm it nearly knocked over a passing child's cotton candy. She winced apologetically, ears flattening briefly before perking up again. He couldn't help but smile at her infectious energy. 6 months of dating hadn't diminished his wonder at how someone so vibrant had chosen his quiet, book-filled world. Where he preferred contemplative evenings with tea and novels, Rena chased every adventure with wholehearted passion. They wove through the crowd, Rena's paw-like fingers laced with his. She dragged him toward a ring toss game, determination settling over her delicate features. Her tail positioned itself carefully to avoid obstacles, a practiced movement she'd perfected over time. 3 tries, the vendor announced cheerfully. Rena's competitive nature emerged fully. Each throw was accompanied by her whole body leaning forward, tongue peeking out in concentration. She missed all 3 attempts, ears drooping with disappointment. "May I try?" Kian asked softly, paying for another round. His first ring sailed perfectly onto the center post. Rena's delighted gasp made his heart warm. He selected a small glass hummingbird from the prizes, its wings catching rainbow light as he presented it to her. "It's beautiful," she whispered, cradling it carefully. Then her attention snagged on something else, a glittering object visible through the ornate lattice of the decorative fountain across the lawn. Her eyes widened with fascination. "Rena, no," Kian warned, recognizing that particular expression. But she was already moving toward it, tail streaming behind her like a banner.
The predicament. "It's definitely a jewel," Rena announced, crouching beside the fountain's decorative stone lattice. The ornamental structure featured intricate geometric patterns, beautiful but deceptively narrow. Behind the stonework, something sparkled enticingly in the shallow water. Kian knelt beside her, peering through the gaps. "Rena, that opening is too small. We can find a maintenance worker." "I can fit," she insisted, her tail swishing with determination. "I'm very flexible." Before he could protest further, she'd positioned herself at the widest section of the lattice, beginning to squeeze through head first. Her slender shoulders passed through easily enough. Kian watched with growing apprehension as she wiggled forward, reaching toward the glittering prize. "Almost got it," her voice echoed slightly within the fountain's hollow base. Then she stopped moving. Tried to push forward, couldn't. Attempted to reverse, also couldn't. "Kian?" Her voice pitched higher. "I think I might be stuck?" He finished gently, fighting the smile tugging at his lips. "This isn't funny." Her legs kicked behind her, creating an undeniably comical sight. Her tail, which had compressed to fit through initially, now puffed up with panic, expanding to triple its normal volume and wedging her completely. The enormous russet plume quivered with indignation, thoroughly trapped. A small crowd began gathering. Phones emerged from pockets. Whispers rippled through the festival-goers. "Is that fox girl stuck in the fountain? Someone's recording this. Oh, that's adorable." Kian circled to the other side of the lattice, where Rena's face poked through, her muzzle scrunched against the stone, emerald eyes wide with mortification. Her ears lay flat against her skull, and her cheeks flushed beneath the fur. "Kian Ashford, if you laugh, I swear," she began. A snort escaped him despite his best efforts, then another. His shoulders shook as he pressed his fist against his mouth, trying desperately to maintain composure. "You're laughing!" she accused, though her own lips twitched traitorously. "I'm not," he managed, voice strangled. "I'm just concerned, very concerned." "Liar!" But affection colored the word. The crowd grew larger, their amusement mixing with genuine sympathy. A child pointed excitedly, an elderly woman cooed sympathetically. Someone definitely posted something online already. "I'm going to die of embarrassment," Rinna whimpered. Kian moved back to her trapped hindquarters, gently resting his hand on her shoulder. "Let me help, love. We'll get you out."
The rescue. Kian assessed the situation with the methodical patience that made him excellent at organizing books, but apparently also applicable to extracting one's fox girlfriend from decorative architecture. The crowd had swelled to at least 50 people, forming a semicircle around the fountain like an amphitheater audience. "Everyone, please give us space," Kian called out, his quiet voice surprisingly firm. A few people stepped back, but the phones remained raised. He sighed, refocusing on Rinna. "Okay, sweetheart, when I say so, breathe out completely and try to compress yourself as much as possible." "My tail won't cooperate," Rinna's muffled voice came from the other side. "It's puffed up and I can't make it go down when I'm panicking." Kian gently touched the massive plume of fur wedged in the lattice. Even stressed, her tail was incredibly soft. "I know something that helps you relax." He began stroking along the length of her tail with slow, deliberate movements, the grooming motion she loved during their quiet evenings together. His fingers worked through the silky fur, finding the sensitive spot near the base that always made her melt. That's not fair," Rinna's voice wavered, somewhere between protest and pleasure. "Is it working?" he asked softly, continuing the soothing strokes. Her tail gradually began deflating, the panic-puffed fur settling as his ministrations calmed her nervous system. Her legs stopped their frantic kicking, relaxing as contentment overrided embarrassment. "Much better," she admitted, voice dreamier now. "You're very good at that." "I know. I also know you only get this reckless when you're trying to do something sweet for me. What was the treasure?" Her ears, which had started to perk up, flattened again with renewed embarrassment. "Wanted to surprise you." "You always surprise me. Now, on 3, breathe out and pull back while I guide your hips. 1, 2, 3. Rinna exhaled completely, compressing her frame. Kian's hands found her waist, carefully angling her body while supporting her weight. The crowd held its collective breath. With a sound like a cork leaving a bottle, she suddenly popped free, tumbling backward into Kian's arms. They collapsed onto the grass in a tangle of limbs and tail. The crowd erupted in applause and cheers, someone whistling appreciatively. Rinna immediately buried her burning face against Kian's chest, her tail wrapping around them both in a defensive cocoon. "I can never show my face in this neighborhood again." Kian held her close, pressing a kiss to the top of her head between her flattened ears. "I think you're forgetting something." "What?" "You got the treasure." Her paw slowly opened, revealing a small glass bead that caught the light, refracting rainbow colors across her palm. A declaration of love. Rinna's breath hitched, her emerald eyes searching his face as though trying to memorize every detail of this moment. The sounds of the festival faded into distant murmurs, the world narrowing to just the two of them beneath the willow's protective canopy. "Kian, she began, voice thick with emotion. He didn't let her finish. Instead, he pulled her close and kissed her deeply, pouring 6 months of quiet affection and wonder into the gesture. Her small gasp of surprise melted into a contented hum as she leaned into him, paws sliding up to rest against his chest. Her tail unwrapped from her waist to curl around them both, soft and warm. When they finally parted, both slightly breathless, Rinna's eyes shimmered with happy tears. "I love you too," she whispered against his lips. "So much it scares me sometimes.
I was trying to impress you with that stupid bead because I wanted to give you something as precious as what you give me every day." "What do I give you?" he asked, genuinely curious. "Acceptance, patience, a safe place to be exactly who I am, impulsive disasters and all." She laughed wetly, wiping at her eyes. "You never try to tame the wild parts of me. You just hold my hand while I chase adventure, and you're always there to help when I inevitably get stuck in fountains." Kian held up the glass bead between them, watching rainbow light dance across both their faces. "Do you know what this reminds me of?" She shook her head, ears perked with curiosity. "You. It looks simple at first glance, just a piece of glass, but when light hits it the right way, it reveals all these hidden colors and depths." He pressed it gently into her paw, closing her fingers around it. "You bring color to my structured, organized, carefully arranged life. You're the refracted light that shows me there's more to the world than what I can see in straight lines." "That's beautiful," Rena breathed, fresh tears spilling over. "Also entirely unfair, because now I'm crying at a festival where I've already made a complete spectacle of myself." "Then let's make it a truly memorable spectacle." Before she could ask what he meant, Kian stood and gently pulled her to her feet. He led her back toward the festival crowd, her confusion evident in her tilted ears and questioning expression. They emerged from beneath the willow tree into the open lawn where people still milled about, many glancing their way with amused smiles. Kian stopped in a clear space, turned to Rena, and, loud enough for nearby people to hear, said, "I love this woman. I love her curiosity, her passion, her generous heart, and yes, even her tendency to get stuck in places she absolutely should not fit." Scattered laughter and awe sounds rippled through the gathering crowd. "She's the best thing that ever happened to my quiet life, and I want everyone to know it." Rena's face flushed brilliantly, but this time her ears stood proud and tall. She rose on her toes, pulling him down for another kiss, this one playful and sweet, her tail swishing with uninhibited joy. The crowd around them erupted in genuine applause, some people wiping at their own eyes. The elderly woman from earlier clutched her chest dramatically. "Young love," she exclaimed to anyone listening, "isn't it just perfect?" As they broke apart, Rena laughed, a bright, unfettered sound of pure happiness. "You know everyone's going to call us the fountain couple now, right?" "I can live with that," Kian murmured, kissing her forehead. They spent the rest of the festival hand in hand, Rena's earlier embarrassment transformed into something almost like pride. She kept the glass bead clutched in her free paw, occasionally holding it up to watch the light play through it. As the sun began setting, painting the sky in oranges and purples, they found themselves back at the fountain, this time admiring it from a safe distance. Rena leaned against Kian's shoulder, her tail wrapped contentedly around his waist. "Thank you," she said softly. "For what?" "For loving all of me, even the parts that get wedged in decorative architecture." He laughed, the sound rumbling through his chest where her head rested. "Especially those parts, though maybe we can invest in a good rescue plan for future adventures." "Deal, as long as the plan includes you and that amazing tail grooming technique." "Always." They sat together as twilight deepened, planning future adventures with the promise that whatever chaos Rena chased, Kian would be there, steady and sure, ready to help her fly free and catch her when she stumbled. Because that's what love was. Not taming each other's wild or structured natures, but learning to dance together in the beautiful space where spontaneity met stability, where chaos met calm, where a fox girl's impulsive heart found its home in a bookkeeper's gentle hands. Lessons from the heart. True love celebrates our imperfections not despite them, but because they make us authentically ourselves. The greatest treasures aren't found in what we retrieve, but in the hearts willing to reach for beauty on our behalf. The aftermath continued around them, peppered with good-natured laughter and sympathetic coos. Kian helped Rena to her feet, keeping one arm protectively around her waist as she pressed against his side, still mortified. Her tail remained wrapped possessively around his leg, as if anchoring herself to the one safe harbor in a sea of witnesses. "Best entertainment all festival," someone called out cheerfully. "That was the cutest thing I've ever seen," a young woman gushed, clutching her phone. Rena's ears somehow managed to flatten even further. A small, distressed sound escaped her throat, something between a whimper and a growl of embarrassment. Kian felt her trembling slightly against him, and his amusement immediately shifted to protective tenderness. "All right, show's over, everyone," he announced gently but firmly, guiding Rena away from the fountain. "Thank you for your concern." They found a quieter spot beneath a large willow tree at the park's edge, its cascading branches creating a natural curtain of privacy. Rena immediately sank onto a bench, burying her face in her paws. Her tail curled around her own waist defensively. "I'm an idiot," she mumbled through her fingers. "A complete, absolute, ridiculous idiot." Kian sat beside her, carefully prying her paws away from her face. Her emerald eyes were bright with unshed tears of humiliation, her muzzle still flushed beneath the amber fur. The sight made his chest ache. "Look at me," he said softly. "I can't. I'm too embarrassed." But her eyes found his anyway. "Do you know why you got stuck trying to retrieve that small glass treasure?" He held up the small glass treasure, letting it catch the filtered sunlight through the willow branches. She shook her head, ears twitching uncertainly. "Because you saw something beautiful, and your first thought was to give it to me." His voice carried such warmth that her defensive posture began to soften. "You didn't think about the risk or the difficulty or what anyone would think. You just saw something that sparkled and wanted to share it with someone you care about." "That's impulsive and stupid," Rena whispered, but her tail loosened slightly. "That's spontaneous and generous," Kian corrected. He cupped her face gently, thumbs stroking her cheeks. "Do you know what my life was like before you crashed into it? Peaceful, organized, free of public humiliation at festivals?" A laugh escaped him. "Lonely, predictable, safe to the point of suffocating." His expression grew serious, intense in a way that made her breath catch. "You bring chaos and color and adventure to every single day. You make me laugh. You challenge me to try new things. You love with your whole heart, throwing yourself completely into everything, including decorative fountains, apparently." Despite herself, a small smile tugged at Rena's muzzle. "You're just saying that to make me feel better." "I'm saying it because it's true." He pressed his forehead against hers, their noses nearly touching. "That impulsive spirit of yours, the one that embarrasses you, it's exactly what I fell in love with." Her ears perked up suddenly, eyes widening. You've never said that before. The L word." Kian's heart hammered against his ribs. He hadn't planned this, hadn't scripted the perfect moment, but sitting here under a willow tree with his fox girl who'd just gotten stuck in a fountain trying to bring him a gift, this felt more right than any planned moment ever could. "I love you, Rena Wind," he said clearly, letting the words ring with certainty.